Okay, so I'm Lyndon Hope here with my friends Jeff and Kyle and Finley, the pup. Um, and yeah, just wanted to kind of get Jeff and Kyle's take on chosen family because yeah, their friendship is something that I've come to really admire. And so yeah, would love to hear from you guys. What does chosen family mean to you, first of all? And how do you feel like it's different than maybe your average friendship?
Okay, I'll go first. I had three words come to mind, and they all start with P. So,
Very pastoral. Also starts with P.
also starts with a P. Yeah. So the first word that came to mind was the word permanent.
Yeah.
Um, so, lots of friendships I've had over the years that have been, deeply meaningful. Some have been. But they kind of have seasons and they come and go. And I think for me, chosen family is like, yep, this is it. This is permanent. So in
Mm.
the same way that when I adopted my daughter, it's like this is for life.
Mm.
Chosen family is that's how it is for me too. And then the next word was proximity, and so I think there's just the closeness. And I'm sure that some people can do chosen family, you know, long distance maybe. But I think for me, I think it means like being close enough that you can, you know, uh, yeah, I think like so you can hug every day or
Hmm.
so that you
Yeah.
can share meals and
Yeah.
so that you can be able to show up when there's, sickness or loss or we vacation
Mm.
together. It's just I think just the closeness and proximity. And then the last word was presence. Uh,
Mm.
and so I think, proximity is important, being near physically, but I think also presence, meaning like emotionally and spiritually, just being, committed to creating like safety and trust and connection in
Yeah.
our relationship that is, I'm very intentional. I try to
Hmm.
do that in a lot of my friendships actually, but in with my chosen family, it's like, whoo, that is extremely important. So
Mm.
I think those are the three things that come to mind for me that, those things might, the second ones, the proximity and presence might have, a part to play in some of my other relationships too. But I think
Yeah.
I'm especially intentional about doing that with chosen family and especially with Jeff.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah. Those make a lot of sense. What about Jeff? Would you add anything?
No, that was those are some good words. I like a lot of the ideas and thoughts behind that, like were what came to my mind when I was processing, kind of reflecting on this.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, this might like connect with other parts of the questions that we're going to be
Totally.
thinking about. But I think one thing that did stick out to me while I was kind of reflecting on it, particularly with the permanence,
Mm.
reflecting on different phases in my life, when like in college or when I had moved to Chicago for grad school and my community there, and just seeing really that transience of
Mm.
community. Like the people is like, well, we're on this 4-year timeline of going through courses, and then
Right.
yeah, we're enjoying this space while it lasts, but like graduation is ever just getting closer. And for me, um, seeing that look a lot like friends getting married and then going off
Hmm.
into the world with their significant others, and me going off by myself and then going to Chicago and seeing it just repeat again in a, albeit I've been in a pretty university oriented space because of my career.
Right.
But I think as I was preparing to move to Nashville and considering that, I yeah, my mindset was like, I'm moving here and I'm going to be putting roots down.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's freed me really to like embrace some of this permanence and have a lot more of like, okay, I'm investing in people who are also maybe of a similar mindset. So
Yeah.
I think looking ahead to one of your questions, like
Hmm.
some of the questions, there's tying. thing that can maybe tie back to, but yeah, that I wanted to
How
echo that.
dare you
That's
connect my
permanent.
questions to each other? No, I'm
Sorry.
just kidding.
I'm not usually clairvoyant, but sometimes when questions are given to me ahead of time, it's hard to
No,
avoid.
no, that's perfect. Um, I love how too you connected permanence to like place as well, because that is a key factor. Because if we're not permanent in a place, it's just really hard to establish any sort of permanence with people. So
Yeah.
many P words.
Yeah. People, presence, permanence.
Yeah, totally. So just kind of diving in more into you guys' friendship, how do you feel like you two are specifically chosen family to one another?
Yeah, I think we've been really intentional in our friendship along, the sort of the journey of our friendship, because we didn't, we weren't chosen family when we first met, like
Yeah.
we met just like anybody else. And then, but I think we were just really intentional to sort of notice I think we had a very quick connection.
Hmm.
But then, like any relationship, it took work, to grow our connection and our friendship. And then, to just make sure we were having sort of like check-in conversations
Yeah.
and making sure we were on the same page, about
Hmm.
you know, like expectations and growing deeper in relationship
Yeah.
and sort of growing toward permanence. I think we kind of found
Yeah.
some different stages. It wasn't like 0 to 60, in
Hmm.
it was like, well, here's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? And here's what I'm feeling. And and so I felt like
Yeah.
we kind of we took like smaller steps toward permanence before, ultimately deciding like, hey, I think where we've landed now, which is, I don't know, probably a few years ago now, but
Hmm.
we sort of landed on family, and
Yeah.
we kind of came up with this term that we call each other. It's a brother friend. You may have
Yeah.
referred to each other that way. But we were like, yeah, we want it to capture, like, we love friendship,
Hmm.
whole beautiful thing, but we also love family. How do we kind of like put those together? We've done that in a few areas in our life,
Mhm.
actually. But yeah, but
Cool.
having like even like a special term that we use of just each other, is sort of a way to give like significance and, sort of attach meaning to, how the special nature of our relationship. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of captures a little bit of the journey of where we've gotten. But yeah, I mean, I think permanence for us is like, all right, well, that means like whatever happens in our lives, like we're gonna, hi. Whatever happens in our lives, we're gonna stay connected to each other, so like if Jeff were to, begin thinking about like a PhD program or
Hmm.
teaching at a different university, like that would be something that, we would, or, I don't know. I mean, if I was like trying to go somewhere, like if we were going to change the place, it would be like, oh, we need to, hi, yes, I love.
Finley's like, I'm part of this family too.
Yes,
Yes.
you are chosen family too. Uh, she's very affectionate, and so am I, and so is
Mhm.
Jeff. So
That's
you're
just
getting a
perfect.
great picture of our family.
Yes.
We're watching a show later tonight. This will just be us on the couch,
Right.
us cuddling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the just a sort of a promise to like, hey, we're not going to let something else in our lives take us away from each other. There's not something
Mm,
that's more important than, being the commitment to be in this relationship and be in
Mhm.
the same place. And also, just the offering of that sort of presence of like, the the effort that we put in to sort of be with each other through like the highs and lows too,
Mhm.
mm,
like that takes energy, that takes time and
yeah.
energy, and effort to do those things. And so again, it's like a commitment to do that for each other. Like Jeff and I are saying no to spending that energy on like other things,
Hmm.
things and people that would probably be great, but it's like
Yeah.
I can't do those things and show up in this relationship in that way. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I think just a commitment to showing up in those
Yeah.
ways and to show
Totally.
up in those ways, like, for the long haul.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, and I think what it means in our relationship is a place of like safety and security, and something that you can depend on to be there. And that's no small thing in the world.
No, not at all.
There are I wish there were more friendships that were that way. I think there are like some types of commitments maybe relationally where you have that, and but I think friendship should also be included among those. And but yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, agreeing with everything, just processing
Totally.
my skills, not really with my words.
I'm also an internal processor, so I totally get this.
Following along, agreeing
Yeah,
completely.
totally.
To focus my thoughts again, what specific of the question?
Oh, yeah. So, how would you say you and Kyle are specifically, maybe in your day-to-day life, like chosen family to each other?
Yeah, I think something else that came to the surface while I was journaling, reflecting, was, I think, really just the ordinary time that we share. That's something I remember feeling pretty acutely back in my community in Chicago, and they were great. I enjoyed my friends, my church, my work at different times. But there were a lot of times, and this kind of coincided with me learning about and starting to process more of my thoughts on like side B and faith and sexuality. Like I remember just standing, I think, in line at Trader Joe's in Chicago, in my neighborhood, and just, I think, even like coming to a point of just tears, thinking like, I really wish I could just go to the grocery store with someone else and just like share that space of waiting in line.
Yeah.
This mundane task of paying someone money to get food and go home. And I think having like the shared space that we have in like enjoying coffee and making breakfast in the most mornings, and that's that time to share about what yesterday had and what we anticipate this today is going to bring, and just that routine like touch point and connection, and that shared space and proximity really means a whole lot to me in terms of what I think of when I think of family, and I think in this chosen family expression.
Also, like, we live together, so we're housemates. We both live in this house, and I think those like meal times and other ordinary times, are we're intentional about that, in a way that if you didn't live together, or at least live like really, really close by, you're not going to have those kind of like really regular, consistent, sort of ordinary times of connection that you're able to have, in a chosen family type of relationship like what we have. And so I think that's a really important component. And then I think we've also been really intentional about like how we fill up this space, and so like we have we regularly invite, we love hospitality, and so we have people over to the house a lot, for regular weekly meals, and then other times we also have a guest room here and regularly have people come and stay with us.
And so I was just there for the Revoice chapter. I can attest to the hospitality.
That's right. We just had the Revoice chapter meeting, and the music and all that was so fun. And so we just enjoy sort of like kind of being intentional about our family space, which is, obviously the house, but I think it's more than that, right? It's like a space that we create with like the joy of our relationship extended to others, and kind of experiencing, the joy of like that combined with other people coming into, what we've created in our family. And so I think that's something that I also love about our relationship. And also just the ordinary, like we're watching have you ever seen Avatar, the show, the TV
The
series?
Last Airbender?
Last
Yeah,
Airbender, yeah.
not the
Yes,
movie.
love it.
There's a bunch of avatars.
Yeah,
The Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV series. We're rewatching it. We watched it all the way through a couple years ago. It's
Oh,
so
nice.
little
Yeah, that
plug.
was one of my pandemic shows, like in 2020.
Yes, yes, yeah, same.
Yeah.
So we're rewatching it again. And so just yeah, finding like, pockets of time throughout the week to like, hey, let's watch a couple episodes. And so
Yeah.
little things like that I think are you can have that, I think, in any friendship.
Mhm.
But it's just the intentionality to be able to do those kinds of things. And I think what Chosen Family gives is the
Hmm.
opportunity to like build on all those things, like
Right.
day after day, week after week, year after year, season after season. You can just build and build and build and build in a way that, a lot of friendships, I think, are a little bit more limited.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear a lot of intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So many, many beautiful things I'm hearing. Is there anything that you found that's particularly difficult about this expression of chosen family?
Always interjecting.
Finley
Finley's
has
like,
some.
I'll answer this question.
Keep keep me from licking the floor when I
I'll tell
want
you,
to.
difficult. You two are sitting here and not giving me all your attention.
Right. Not paying attention to me.
In thinking about this question, I think what came to my mind was really just, I think, becoming, I mean, in relationship and close proximity to other people in community, I think you're bound to find a lot more of your own flaws
Mm,
and what that brings into it, things
right.
and the challenges you faced with, like, oh, well, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
So for me, what came to mind is just there's a areas of growth that I've been experiencing, I think, over the last several years in
Hmm.
particular have been um around like finding more, learning more like relational security.
Yeah.
um I know there's been different different seasons and times when people I've grown close to, I think, seeing in particular with me and friendships through college, seeing good
Hmm.
friends of mine start dating and then engaged and married, and then I just feel the gradual or not so gradual, like kind of retraction from
Right.
from our friendship. And I think I've grown accustomed to that being my expectation for
Mm,
close friendships that have um like have a significant change and a significant relationship come in, and then I kind of have had this response of expecting that this is going to fade, this is going to end. So my
yeah.
a tendency has been like to cling and try to be like control, like pull closer and get
Hmm.
confirmation that people aren't going to leave me or abandon me, and that has led to many different difficult conversations with other friendships
Sure.
um, that have led to growth and have led to really, I think, healthier relationships now. And
Hmm.
I know as Kyle has been dating again, that's a
Yeah.
conversation, an area of conversation that we've been having. Like, what is our relationship? Getting reaffirmation of what our chosen family is like, even
Hmm.
as he's seeking to add a really significant new relationship in, what
Hmm.
that looks like. And I think, oh, I know I have a significant area to continue growing in this, but I feel like I'm really thankful for the growth that has happened, and I feel a lot more like secure and
Yeah.
at peace. And I think a lot of your own like ability to communicate just what our relationship means
Mm.
and being able to hear that and receive that for myself
Hmm.
has given me a lot more ability to be just at peace and try to and be able to connect more with like his own joy and excitement in this new stage of of
Yeah.
life, and envision good things even for maybe us three, what that could look like.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, through that, feeling a lot more hope, even though that would be an area that I think has been difficult, and
Mm,
it hasn't just happened. That's been something,
right.
especially to navigate, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like kind of maybe the difficulty in this type of chosen family is like it like in any sort of committed anything, it's like it's going to bring up some old wounds
Mm,
that uh you know are maybe not healed, are half healed, or are
yeah.
at various stages of healing and growth. And so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think for me, a difficulty is sort of balancing like the the importance and closeness of our
Hmm.
relationship with also just like the rest of life and other
Mm,
Yeah.
relationships.
mhm,
Because I think there could be a tendency to maybe try to put too much on each other, you know?
Sure.
mhm,
Um, and maybe like I don't think either one of us expects to always the other to always get that perfectly, but I know that something that has been super helpful to me from Jeff is the
Hmm.
way like he's so good at reaching for like people in his entire community, like
mhm,
Yeah.
Jeff, we have a lot of the same community, but some that are different. But Jeff is very intentional in other relationships too, and
Hmm.
has like forged really close friendships with some other people.
Right.
I feel like that is such a blessing to me, because it's like, it's like he's not putting every bit
mm,
of his well-being on me,
Right.
which is just never a good idea. No human being could
Yeah.
possibly like carry that for another human,
mhm,
and so I think, in any chosen family relationship, like that's going to be really important,
Hmm.
to make sure that we like, I think we have learned, what we can expect to receive
mm,
and get from each other in our relationship.
Hmm.
And and then realizing like, oh yeah, neither one of us is going to meet each other's every need.
yeah.
Right. Too much
Maybe
pressure.
not the majority of them. Like that's not a thing,
Yeah.
and so we have other close friends, we have
Right.
family, biological family, we
Mhm,
have mentor, there's just other, people that play other roles. Finley, I mean, it's just,
Right.
there's a there's a variety of places that we go to, I think,
Hmm.
for to get our wants and needs met. And I
yeah.
think, finding that sort of, it's a bit of a dance,
Hmm.
and I navigating that, intentionally and communicating regularly,
Yeah.
like, hey, what are we getting what right, and what's
Right.
going well, and hey, what can we do better, trying to do that, I think has helped a lot. But
Hmm.
I would say that's probably been a difficulty. And then even what Jeff mentioned about, for me, like I would love to be married someday,
Yeah.
and so, since I've started dating again this year, and
Hmm.
trying to like, hey, like what does it look like to add, a girlfriend and someday maybe a wife, and it's like, well, Jeff is my best friend, and I don't
Hmm.
think it's ever going to change. And so that's been one
Yeah.
of the difficult things for me, is like,
Hmm.
well, I will need to find a spouse who's like not just okay with that, but thinks that's a beautiful thing.
Mm,
Um,
Yeah.
that's been a bit of a challenge for me, because that's a non-starter for a lot of women,
Hmm.
they want to be my best friend,
Right.
which is, that's not bad, that's not wrong, but
Yeah.
like, that role's already taken, sorry.
Hmm.
And so it probably disqualifies a lot of people, or I don't know if that's the right word, but they're at least like highly disinterested in me. um but I'm really thankful to have, found a
Yeah.
person right now anyways, that not only sees Jeff as a wonderful
Hmm.
human, but sees our relationship as wonderful and beautiful. And you know, is like, oh yeah, I'm not trying to be your best friend. So I think
Yeah.
that's a dynamic that might be probably wouldn't be true of every you know, friendship,
Sure.
chosen family friendship, but that's been a dynamic for us, and something that's been a challenge to navigate. But again, I just like lean in, you know, you got to lean into your chosen family. And if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want to be your wife, you know, but I'm not really interested in your daughter,
Mm.
don't really want to be, you know, I
Yeah.
don't like your dog, you know, I'd be like, all right, like, see you later.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're a package deal. And
Hmm.
that's certainly true of Jeff as well. And so, you know, being really clear about what chosen family means is important, and communicating that with like other people in our lives has been important,
Hmm.
not just my girlfriend, but others as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense too. Just having that, it sounds like you all are very good at keeping those lines of communication open and like coming back over and over. Like it sounds like that's really key.
Our friend Dr. Brandy talks about she says everything should be talk aboutable. And I think she invented that word.
Talk
We're
aboutable. I love
fans of
that.
inventing words.
Yes.
I mean, they all were invented at some point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
but yeah, talk aboutable. Yeah. So it's just like, okay, we just gotta
Hmm.
let's just communicate. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, go to therapy and get better, and you know, work on yourself, and do hard things. And you know, communication can be scary and difficult, but
Mm.
also like it's so helpful to just like let's just talk
Yeah.
about stuff, you know, and it might be uncomfortable and we might not see eye to eye on things, you know. Jeff and I don't agree about everything. That's not a thing.
Right. That's not
Um,
the goal.
that's not the goal. But if we can stay connected, and
Yeah.
if we can stay really clear about the nature of our relationship and sort of what, you know, we've what we expect and what we've promised to each other, you know, through all of life circumstances, you know, through different trials and difficulties that we both have faced, are facing, you know, through new
Right.
relationships and old relationships. And I mean, we've been through a lot over the last,
Hmm.
you know, and but I think our relationship continues to grow because, you know, we've been able to stay connected in that way. And so, yeah, being
Yeah.
intentional and communicating a lot, and you know, as well as we can, I think it would be really important.
That's awesome. Um, oh, Finley is so cute. She's like almost falling asleep. You
Yeah.
can see
Yeah,
the eyes just close. Um,
love snuggling with Uncle Jeff. Oh
oh.
my goodness.
So what would you say to someone who hopes for the sort of chosen family that you guys have found? What encouragement or advice or any words?
Yeah, I would definitely say go for it, you know. And probably a lot of the things that we've been talking about, you know, I would say like, yeah, you know, try to be really intentional and try to be
Hmm.
really honest too, you know. I think
Yeah.
you know, I think some of the conversations that we've had with some other people that have been kind of adjacent to us who have attempted something like this,
Hmm.
I know one big obstacle has been kind of a not necessarily like outright like lying per se, but just
Right.
maybe not a full honesty. You know, I think being like
Mm.
really open and transparent about where you are
Yeah.
and where you want to be. And, because like we've talked about, like these components of our relationship, the permanence, the proximity, the presence, like those are
Yeah.
humongous commitments, you know, like you like, oh yeah, I think that sounds fun, or I'll try
Right.
that, you know, or it's just like you just don't fall into chosen family.
Right.
Or
Right.
I mean, maybe you might fall into it, but you're not going to stay in it.
Yeah.
A whole lot of intentionality and a whole lot of commitment. And it doesn't mean that you won't like falter, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but I think like just being really open and clear about intentions going into it, you know.
Yeah.
Especially I think, you know, knowing how how much pain there's been
Mm.
in people. People have, there's another P word. It's just
Pain.
pain.
Mhm.
There's so much pain in our stories,
Mm.
and so I think the prospect of
Oh, oh.
the prospect of chosen family, is like this. It can be like this glimmer of hope, and
Mhm.
so
Hmm.
I would strongly encourage people to pursue it.
Uh, with
It's really good
perseverance.
here.
With
To pursue
perseverance.
it with perseverance. But I would say, just try to be as open and clear about your
Hmm.
intentions. And yeah, and then lots of this is really terrible. Lots of patience and grace. I'm not doing
This
this on
keeps coming.
just being really, I think that's another component of our relationship now that I'm
Yeah.
going through it. It's like, yeah, you've got to be really patient with each
Mm.
other. Because like I think we both have like really high expectations for each other in our relationship.
Hmm.
That's what holds it together.
Hmm.
Because it's so hard. But yeah, but then I think like being gracious. And so
Mm.
I think, yeah, I would definitely encourage people who are thinking about, having a friendship like ours, making, these chosen family, types of relationships. Yeah, to just be clear about their intentions and expectations, and try to have a really like know that it's a big commitment and it's going to be tough,
Yeah.
but also like 100% worth it. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, like if I were to put like in two hands, like the one side, like the things that are difficult
Yeah.
about it, and on the other side, like the joy that is
Hmm.
my life, like it is just not even close.
Mhm.
Hmm.
uh the joy and the security and belonging,
Yeah.
just life that it
Mhm.
has brought into to me, it far 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 outweighs like any of what is challenging in our relationship. And so I hope that that is an encouragement to people who are thinking about it, like
Yeah.
it's not just like this super hard thing that's like
Right. Right.
like it truly is like very life-giving and
Mhm.
super sweet and fun. Um, and like one of my very favorite things in my life is my relationship
Hmm.
with Jeff.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. That's so beautiful.
Mhm.
Jeff, would you add anything?
I think I'm just gonna agree with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
I don't have
yeah,
any more P words
totally.
to contribute.
No, no more P words. Not personally, anyway.
Not personally, not pertinent.
So we have like 4 minutes left before it's gonna like kick us off.
Yeah.
But very quickly, um, what do you feel is one way God has grown you? You've really talked about this a lot throughout, so I'm gonna change the question. Switch it up. So, is there anything you feel like that's ever missing from the chosen family conversation that would just be good to remember? I don't know. You may not have something, but um there are these conversations sometimes, and is there ever anything that you feel like is missed that would be good to highlight?
Mhm. I guess something that comes to mind that maybe I would feel worth sharing and
Yeah.
resharing is just like this didn't happen overnight. Like we've
Yeah.
been getting to know each other over 5 years, almost 5 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I know I think there is a repeating um experience and maybe a repeating disappointment in the side B world of like connecting with
Mm.
people and hoping for like meaningful connection, and then I don't know, something, I don't know, things happen and
Yeah.
expectations aren't aligned, or life happens or circumstances
Mm-hmm.
happen, and like that dream kind of falls apart there. And
Mm,
I know that's really, really painful.
yeah.
Um, but I think what I'm really thankful for is being being able to be in spaces and in friendships that I don't know, just was safe to continue reaching out intentionally,
Mm,
try to find new relationships that I was able to communicate clearly and have this reciprocity, and
right.
like find like, oh, maybe if I can see myself investing more here, and then see that back and forth exchange, like similar interest in investment. And like it can feel, I imagine it can feel quite daunting, like
Mm,
if more of your experience has been reaching out and not finding someone else who's there, if
yeah.
they're extended. But I hope that more people, especially in the church, would be
Mm,
willing to consider, like, well, what maybe even if you have a family, like what can it mean for us to be a chosen family and look for people who are looking for this belonging, looking for this
right.
safety, community. And I don't think that should be just a singles thing or whatever
Totally.
way we're in. I think that's a really beautiful thing about the what the church should be, is
Mm-hmm.
a space where we have a chosen family that Jesus has united and purchased and put together, not
Yeah.
by blood, but by, I guess, through his blood. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Amen. And we have less than 1 minute, so good timing.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, both of you, for being willing to take time out of your day to talk about this. Y'all are awesome. And fun fact, Jeff is featured in Chosen, the song that is coming out in just a few days. He plays the trumpet, so